So, these are natural responses that we have accumulated over time, and in order to preserve and protect ourselves so we don't get hurt in future again. When we talk about emotions, the key 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 key emotions, primary emotions. One of them being fear. Let's have a look at fear. Fear is an adaptive protection function. I think this is key. Okay? It's an adaptive protection function. Okay? Adaptive protection function. You have been fed information to make the fear possible and real. People say, obviously, fear is false evidence appearing real. I think people generally have actual fears. You know what I mean? Like, we generally do have fears because these are real things that happen to us. And what we need to do is overcome those things, right? Adaptive protection function. The emotion helps us to have escape and avoidance responses to dangerous situations for us. Dangerous being perceptive to the individual. Danger is up to your perception to you. Depending on what you've experienced as a child, this will perceive as a danger. The danger being very much this, right? The danger is, I'm assuming you're coming with a sword, and if I don't protect myself, you're going to stab me emotionally, okay? And so the person wants to protect themselves, okay? So it focuses primarily on feared stimulus, making it quick to react. Finally, it also mobilizes a lot of energy that will allow us to execute much faster and more intense response of how we would do it in a situation that did not produce fear, okay? So fear is this adaptive protective function, okay? Adaptive protective function. I also want you to look at this other function as well. Disgust, because we're going to come on to this in a second too as well. Disgust, the emotion that's adaptive function of rejection, because this is also a part of the problem when it comes to remaining vulnerable whilst hurt. Because part of the hurt is feeling rejected. Part of the hurt is feeling like the person doesn't care. Part of the hurt is feeling like somebody doesn't, appreciate you. And really what these words really boil down to is, I'm not seen or heard, and I feel unvalidated. In these moments, I feel unseen, unheard, and I feel unvalidated. And guess what? Most of us, our trigger points come from the fact that as a child, there was something, not that your parent was necessarily bad, not necessarily that your parent wasn't attentive to you, but there was something that as a child, most cases, not all, that most cases, that something was not seen or heard from you. Maybe your parent, used to say to you, look, I can't hear you right now. You're saying, oh, I want to tell you, as a kid, like, Mom, I want to tell you the story, what happened to me at school. And your mom says, right now, I'm kind of busy, right? She says that 2 or 3 times, you start coming to mom with your stories. And when you say it to somebody else, it's not a big thing. But actually, to you, when you were a kid, that was a form of rejection. You weren't seen and you weren't heard in that moment. And therefore, in that moment, what happens is it only takes somebody else in an adult form to recreate that same action or energy. And you remember the same thing as a child, and it connects and sparks begin to tss, and then you react, right?